Your engine is violently gasping for clean air today. A rough, terrifying idle violently shakes your entire steering wheel. You stalled aggressively in the middle of a busy intersection. Your mechanic blamed a completely dead emissions control valve. He demanded a $600 ransom to replace the entire unit. But there is a $5 chemical sitting on a hardware shelf. It permanently evaporates choked EGR valves from the inside out. It stops the humiliating stalling completely in its tracks. It instantly restores the smooth idle, your engine violently lost. This raw solvent operates flawlessly while your engine is running. No removing the massive metal intake manifold from the block. No paying a mechanic for 3 agonizing hours of labor. No leaving your primary vehicle hostage at a repair shop. Just one $5 metal aerosol can of industrial hydrocarbon solvent. Just a warm engine and 5 minutes of your time. Why did that dealership advisor confidently quote you exactly $600? They never physically removed the valve to inspect the blockage. They performed 0 microscopic flow tests on the internal pintle. They simply saw a generic exhaust flow code on a screen. They immediately handed you an orchestrated financial death sentence. This is a brilliantly designed corporate labor extortion mechanism. The emissions repair industry operates as a highly coordinated syndicate. They siphon millions from terrified commuters, utilizing sheer parts replacement. They engineer these modern exhaust valves to eventually choke completely. The factory valve perfectly traps thick, oily soot inside itself. This internal passage is mathematically designed to clog at 60,000 miles. The powertrain warranty expires right before the asphalt sludge solidifies. This engineered fragility is a mathematically perfect dealership profit trap. The replacement metal valve actually costs them exactly $40. They are aggressively charging you $560 purely for their time. They need you paralyzed by the fear of a stalling motor. They weaponize your lack of fluid, dynamic engineering knowledge. Your mechanical panic actively funds their expanding glass showrooms. They treat a microscopic soot shadow like a total mechanical explosion. They mandate severing the intake manifold completely open. Every single rusted bolt they fight bills you $150 hourly. They force you to pay massive labor rates completely unnecessarily. They sell you an elaborate illusion wrapped in heavy jargon. Your heavy metal valve has not fundamentally cracked in half. The massive internal solenoid is structurally pristine and perfectly intact. They are robbing you blind over a microscopic drop of sludge. This orchestrated labor trap is their most lucrative financial asset. The authentic chemical remedy was deliberately suppressed decades ago. It originated in the terrifying, suffocating darkness of the 1990s. Massive subterranean tunnel, boring machines carved out the English Channel. These gigantic underground diesel engines produced incredibly lethal exhaust fumes. Engineers equipped them with massive, rudimentary exhaust gas recirculation systems. But the intense subterranean dirt aggressively baked the diesel soot. Thick layers of hard asphalt completely coated the massive internal valves. The giant steel valves became completely paralyzed by the sludge. Massive boring machines began violently stalling out beneath the ocean. Engineers could not safely dismantle an engine inside a narrow tunnel. A seized tunnel borer paralyzed the entire multi-billion-dollar project completely. They required a miraculous, instant metallurgical cleaning protocol in transit. Subterranean chemists deployed a highly classified, extreme hydrocarbon chemical compound. It was a concentrated, pure, heavy solvent with aggressive penetrance. Mechanics sprayed this raw chemical directly into the massive intake tracts. The heavy liquid circulated directly to the petrified steel exhaust valves. It performed flawlessly under the most terrifying thermal pressures imaginable. The hardened asphalt was permanently melted away in minutes. Massive valves instantly snapped open and silenced the choking engines. This $5 chemical saved a multi-billion-dollar transcontinental engineering empire. But as the tunneling crisis faded, the automotive empire watched. Corporate executives realized this classified chemistry was a massive threat. Big Auto systematically erased this high-solvent technology from civilian manuals. They aggressively lobbied to classify intake sprays as cheap snake oil. They orchestrated a brilliant smear campaign lasting over 30 years. They understood the chilling mathematics of the automotive aftermarket completely. You cannot justify a $600 flagship emissions teardown repair. You cannot keep thousands of dealership service bays fully booked. If a simple $5 chemical permanently evaporates, the microscopic asphalt gap. They chose staggering corporate profits over proven industrial subterranean engineering. They kept this tunneling secret locked away from the working class. They gambled your financial security to strictly protect their labor revenue. This channel is an underground syndicate of factual mechanical resistance. We are dismantling the corrupt automotive cartel, piece by piece. Next week, I will expose the engineered turbocharger replacement scam. I will reveal the $4 chemical that strips dying turbos permanently. Do not let this vital survival blueprint vanish into the algorithm. Hit that subscribe button immediately to join the active resistance. You must actively participate in starving this corrupt financial system. Every single view hemorrhages money away from predatory automotive dealerships. Do not dare click away from this specific educational video. Your gasping engine relies entirely on the next 2 minutes. I am giving you the exact classified subterranean chemical protocol. The industry is actively attempting to strike this forbidden knowledge. They pray you remain an obedient, financially paralyzed consumer forever. They need you completely helpless to fund their massive empire. Stay right here and secure your total mechanical independence today. What is actually failing inside your choking internal combustion engine? Bolted directly to your intake manifold is the EGR valve. It stands for exhaust gas recirculation. This brilliant metal valve is designed to lower massive combustion temperatures. When you drive, the valve opens a tiny internal metal door. It purposefully redirects a small amount of hot exhaust gas backward. This inert gas enters the fresh air intake to cool the explosion. But modern commuter traffic creates brutal, relentless soot accumulation cycles. Your engine produces microscopic particles of unburned carbon fuel, soot. Simultaneously, your crankcase violently vents heavy, sticky oil vapors. When dry carbon soot violently collides with this sticky oil vapor, they instantly combine to form a toxic, thick, black sludge. Mechanics refer to this toxic residue as engine asphalt. The intense engine heat literally bakes this asphalt completely solid. It forms a rock-hard crust directly inside the metal EGR valve. It aggressively coats the delicate internal metal pintle shaft entirely. Without smooth movement, a devastating physical chain reaction immediately begins. The heavy asphalt acts like high-temperature industrial concrete adhesive glue. It physically glues the metal valve, stuck in the open position. Now, massive amounts of suffocating exhaust gas violently flood the engine. Your engine violently chokes on its own toxic waste, continuously. It physically cannot breathe fresh oxygen to sustain a smooth idle. That brutal internal suffocation is the terrifying stalling you experience. Your engine block has not physically shattered into pieces yet. The heavy steel valve housing is perfectly straight and structurally intact. Your engine simply contains a chemically glued piece of metal inside. It desperately requires a specific chemical solvent replacement to function properly. Mechanics leverage this specific physical phenomenon to orchestrate a heist. They point at the rough idle as proof of destruction. They claim your entire emissions system requires a catastrophic surgical teardown. They treat a dirty metal shaft like a hand grenade exploded. They intentionally blur the line between dirty and completely dead. They demand $600 to physically replace a tiny, glued metal door. This elaborate financial extortion scheme terminates right here and now. We are bridging that physical gap with pure solvent chemistry. This $5 liquid is absolutely not a temporary throttle cleaner. It is a highly concentrated, pure heavy hydrocarbon solvent compound. Industrial tunneling engineers rely entirely on its extreme asphalt melting rating. It is the exact extreme chemistry deployed beneath the English Channel. When you spray this liquid directly into your engine intake manifold, it travels violently with the rushing air into the valve housing. The raw chemical possesses an incredibly high solvency dispersion rate. The intense engine vacuum pulls it directly into the petrified sludge. The hot engine air serves as the ultimate chemical thermal catalyst. The solvent molecules initiate a terrifying molecular assault on the asphalt. It completely bypasses standard mechanical teardown, physical limitations, entirely forever. The heavy hydrocarbon molecules violently force their way into the baked crust. They undergo an extreme, irreversible physical bonding process immediately. They actively attack the sticky oil binders, holding the soot together. The petrified asphalt seal is chemically melted back into a liquid state. It violently flash, evaporates into a highly combustible chemical gas instantly. The microscopic metal pintle shaft is flawlessly cleared of all obstruction. The powerful internal spring aggressively snaps the metal door completely shut. The valve naturally restores its exact original factory operational parameters. The microscopic physical gap is firmly pressed, completely sealed tight. The engine breathes pure, fresh oxygen without violent toxic interruption. The humiliating rough idle is permanently eradicated from your daily commute. Massive engine harmony is restored to exact factory specifications instantly. This is an authentic, molecular, level physical, internal restoration process entirely. It does not merely push the sludge deeper into the massive manifold. It completely alters the physical structural environment of the microscopic blockage. It permanently reverses 60,000 miles of thermal degradation in minutes today. It completely immunizes the metal against further chemical asphalt accumulation. The chemistry literally rejuvenates the mechanical failure point entirely and forever. The physical solvent science is undeniably factual and heavily documented globally. Big Auto simply refuses to acknowledge this reality publicly today. They hide this subterranean chemistry strictly to sell you expensive labor. They are utterly terrified of this exact molecular melting phase change. It instantly renders their flagship, $600 valve replacement, completely obsolete forever. Analyze their parasitic corporate profit margins with absolute chilling clarity. A complete physical EGR valve replacement job costs exactly $600 minimum. That expensive metal replacement petrifies exactly the same way eventually. The dealership extracts a staggering 400% corporate profit margin. The specialized engine technician bills $150 per hour in pure labor. They bolt down the exact same vulnerable factory metal exhaust valves. They purposefully lay the exact same trap for the next commuter. Now evaluate the suppressed subterranean chemical melting solution completely. The highly concentrated pure hydrocarbon solvent liquid costs exactly $5. It permanently fortifies the heavy emissions valvetrain from the inside out. It requires absolutely zero expensive labor costs from a dealership. It requires exactly zero specialized heavy engine, socket wrench, mechanical equipment. Old solution costs $600, 3 hours, and lasts exactly 60 months. New solution costs $5, 5 minutes, and lasts completely forever. You cannot maintain a massive network of expensive service bays. You cannot fund executive bonuses and luxury corporate island retreats. If you supply a permanent $5 chemical defense mechanism completely, the mathematics expose their entire lucrative labor industry as a scam. Here is the exact, unforgiving step-by-step DIY chemical melting protocol. You must execute these instructions with absolute, strict military precision. Park your vehicle on a perfectly level, solid concrete surface outdoors. Ensure the massive engine is slightly warm before starting this procedure. Put on heavy-duty nitrile gloves to protect your bare skin completely. Wear clear safety goggles to protect your vision from chemical splashes. Open the heavy metal hood and locate the main air intake hose. This massive black rubber tube connects the air filter to the engine. Loosen the metal retaining clamp aggressively with a standard flathead screwdriver. Pull the heavy rubber hose completely off the metal throttle body. Go to the massive local commercial auto parts store beforehand. Purchase one aerosol can of highly concentrated intake and EGR solvent. Verify the ingredients contain active heavy hydrocarbons or pure xylene. Do not buy simple cheap mass airflow cleaners disguised as heavy solvents. Attach the tiny red plastic straw directly to the aerosol nozzle. Start the massive engine and let it idle in the bright sunlight. The engine will sound slightly rough with the air hose disconnected. Manually open the metal throttle blade slightly to increase the engine speed. Insert the red straw directly into the open metal intake manifold. Spray the raw chemical violently in short, aggressive 1-second bursts. The massive engine will violently stumble and choke on the heavy solvent. Do not spray continuously, or you will stall the massive engine block. The powerful engine vacuum violently sucks the solvent into the EGR valve. Continue this aggressive spraying rhythm until half the aerosol can is empty. Turn the massive engine completely off and remove the ignition key. Reinstall the heavy rubber intake hose securely onto the metal throttle body. Tighten the metal retaining clamp perfectly snug with your flathead screwdriver. Start the massive engine and pull onto the fast open highway. You must drive the vehicle aggressively over the next 10 miles. The extreme exhaust heat aggressively incinerates the remaining liquefied chemical sludge. You will violently notice the terrifying rough idle completely vanish instantly. You have successfully rebuilt your emissions system chemically from the inside. This is a ruthless declaration of war against planned mechanical obsolescence. This is a calculated rebellion against orchestrated automotive fragility today. Historical industrial machinery was built to survive absolute, grueling subterranean tunneling. Modern automotive engineering is designed to quietly extract your wealth constantly. They want you entirely paralyzed by your own complex commuter vehicle. They need you completely dependent on their expensive specialty engine tools. They pray you never uncover basic extreme heavy hydrocarbon solvent chemistry. But today, you seized your absolute mechanical power back completely. You permanently cured a $600 crisis with a cheap $5 aerosol can. You kept your hard-earned cash away from a predatory corporate cartel. You must distribute this video to every single driver you know. Send it to anyone facing a massive emissions valve replacement ransom. Every single time you share this, a predatory dealership loses massive profit. We are starving the parasitic financial system, one vehicle at a time. We are resurrecting the classified subterranean mechanical knowledge of the past. Do not let this vital survival blueprint die in the dark algorithm. Take absolute command of your own mechanical destiny right now today. Stop serving as a helpless financial victim to the massive automotive cartel. The dark era of blind consumer compliance is completely over today. You are now armed with the exact forbidden molecular science, completely. Next week, we violently attack the massive turbocharger replacement repair industry. I will reveal the $4 chemical that permanently strips dying turbo veins. I will expose the engineered mechanical trap they carefully set constantly. Get ready to completely armor your own internal combustion engine permanently.